Welcome to the Making of Me podcast. Today I'm joined by Pamela Cass, our performance coach, speaker, co-host of Reignite Resilience, and co-author of Quiet Gift. Pamela's journey is moved from the slicer, burnouts, cancer, and starting over, and how those moments reshape her sense of worth, voice, and leadership. It's really a pleasure having you on the show, Pamela.
Thank you.
Pamela, in one sentence, you shared that our phone call you said that a phone call 6 months into a new role changed everything. Can you actually take us back to those moments and what was through your mind this particular moment?
So the phone call that I got that really changed the trajectory of my life was getting that phone call that I was diagnosed with cancer. And it's one of those calls you're not expecting. I totally wasn't expecting it. When I had the testing done, I was like, this is fine. Nothing's going to happen. I'm healthy. I eat healthy. I take care of myself. And so it was a moment that almost was where I had to take a pause because I asked myself the question, am I really showing up present in my life currently? Or am I just busy doing? And the answer was that I was just busy doing. And I think it's the world we live in today where we are measured by the things we do, not necessarily how we show up. And so I was working probably more than I should be working. I wasn't spending as much time with my kids as I should have been. I probably wasn't taking care of myself as much as I should have been. And so it was this beautiful pause where I realized that I had a choice. I could keep going the same way I was going, or I could stop and be more present in the moment, because that phone call made me remember or realize that none of us have any idea how long we're going to be here. And I don't want to look back and regret things. Nobody's going to die and say, gosh, I wish I'd worked more. They're going to say, gosh, I wish I had gone on that vacation I always wanted to go on. I wish I had, fill in the blank, spent more time with my kids when they were little. But we don't. We just keep doing more and more. And so to me, it was when I look at it now, I'm grateful that it happened because it made me pause and live life differently.
Wow, that was really, really amazing. I think it's the fact that when you just make reference of the fact that when we're about going, sick bed, about going, most regret most times is not the fact that, yeah, I should have worked a bit harder. Most of the regret is coming from lost relationship, less connection with loved ones and everything. And the fact that you just make reference of it, you spike a lot of code. And I'm like, wow, so true. So
Yeah.
you talk a lot about feeling invisible first with dyslexia, then
Mhm.
later in leadership. What did you realize invisibly was shaping how you show up?
So it was interesting. So when I was young, when I was diagnosed with dyslexia, it was in the 70s, and they didn't have a lot of resources for kids at that point, which meant that you got pulled out of class and you were separated from your peers. And so by doing that, you almost want to become invisible because you don't want to come. When you came back into the room, everybody else had to stay in the class and they were doing work. And then you feel like everybody's talking about you. Like, why did she not have to do this? And why did she not have to do this homework? And why did she get to leave the classroom? And so I shrunk because I didn't want to be seen. I wanted to just blend into the wall. At home, I wanted to be seen. And so in the book, I talk about how I used to hide in the closet. And I would hide in the closet hoping that my parents would think I was missing and be scared and come try to find me. And I would end up sitting in the closet for, looking back, it was probably only minutes, but when you're a kid, minutes feel like hours.
Yeah.
And so it just confirmed that I was really an invisible child. And so when I became an adult, it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, I need to prove that I deserve to be here, which meant I was going to outwork and overwork anybody else because I needed to prove that it was okay that I was here. And that showed up a lot. My worth was tied to what I was doing. It was tied to the accolades, the awards, the titles, the income. And the problem is when you're always tying your worth to an external thing, you're never done. You never feel worthy enough. And so you just keep doing more. So that title that you have, that income you have, that's not enough. I must need more. And so then I have to have more that I'm worthy. And it just is this really terrible trap that you get stuck in. And then you end up reaching burnout because you're just going so hard so long that you aren't listening to what your body is telling you. And that happened to me where I had survived cancer, but now I'm in this VP role of a company and I'm working 7 days a week and my blood pressure is high, like dangerously high. I was at the stage where I could drop dead of a heart attack. And it's one of the number one killers of women because we don't listen to our body. We don't stop and slow down. And so it was that day, that the second time, that was a pivotal moment in my life when I chose to quit the job and walk away from the income. And I had no idea how I was going to support myself. And I was a single mom.
Wow.
But to me, that was more, my health and being there for my kids was more important than the comfort and the security of that job. And I don't regret it. I never
Wow,
look
that
back.
was really amazing. I think I was just trying to kind of picture what was it like being a child and the fact that you were taken out from doing classes and brought back again. I was just imagining the trauma of what it would have looked like being that you're going to be more like a laughing stock between the children every now and then, being that, yeah, it's really a whole lot. Just looking at it, I'm like, it's really, really awful. And
Yeah.
it's a lot that you're able to go through that. And when that comes to more like you validating yourself owing to what you do, and the fact that it's a cycle that keep continuing because there's still much and more to be done, except you
Yeah.
actually want like trust yourself and actually put yourself out. And it's amazing how you actually get to work out. So
Yeah.
walking away from your executive role is it's not an easy decision. And what gave you the courage to start over instead of pursuing?
What gave me the courage was, I would have to say it's probably fear. Like I was so afraid that I was going to not be there for my kids
Hmm.
and my future grandkids, that I was willing to take that risk. And what I learned is that when you are a single parent and you don't have any other choice, you will work really, really hard to figure it out. And luckily, I had skills that I had learned over the years, and I was able to lean into that, to lean into coaching. And I knew a lot of people. And so I was able to reach out and ask for help. And I think that's something that's really hard for people to do as well. We feel like there's shame in asking for help from people. And I had to lean into that and say that my pride, I need to let go of that and just lean into it because it meant, surviving or not surviving. And what I loved is that people stepped up and they helped, they connected me with people, and it's been a beautiful journey, and I have learned so much about myself and about other people in this journey. And yeah, so it was worth it.
Wow, that was really amazing. And the fact that after actually pulling out, you still have the courage to actually ask. Because sometimes asking can be very, very more like, yeah, very shameful being an adult. You expect that, yes, I should have it figured out. I should have everything working out perfectly. I should be the one ordering things all around. And I think that's the difference between an adult and children because children will keep asking. They are curious. They want to know. They want to know what is different. And the fact that you're able to kind of reach out and ask, that was
Yeah.
really amazing. And a very big lesson to every one of us that, yeah, we can get it figured out every now and then. We need to
Yeah.
just walk out of our pride and actually get to us. And that was really amazing. So your book, your quiet gift actually center around our self-worth and finding your voice. How much of all that story came directly from your own healing journey?
It was really interesting because as an adult, I didn't remember a lot of my childhood. I
Yeah.
think, as adults, if we have trauma or things that weren't happy in our childhood, we suppress those memories. And we just remember kind of those happy things. And I was going through therapy after the burnout and everything. And I started doing a therapy called EMDR. And EMDR is for PTSD because I was in an abusive marriage for 23 years. And so what EMDR does is it activates your memories from all memories that are
Wow.
suppressed, even from when you're adult. And so what was happening when I was going through that, I would go through these 90-minute sessions. I would remember all these things. And then I would go home and I would journal about everything that I remembered. And then I would always have dreams that night that would come up as memories. And so I would journal about that. And so it got to this point where I thought to myself, every one of us has a story. And if we keep the story to ourselves, then what good is it? And for me, it's about somebody needs to hear the story, my story, because somebody has a similar story and needs to have a little hope that there's a road through it. And so the story is fully my childhood up to my college years. I put some fictional things in it. So there's a fictional character named Sam, and he's not a real person, but he shows up to Emily, the main character, as a real person. And he's kind of that words of wisdom, and he always kind of shows up when she needs it. So to the reader, it could be whoever they want it to be. It could be God, it could be a spirit guide, it could be a relative that they have, it could be anybody. And the journal came from me journaling, remembering the story. And so I wanted there to be a journal throughout the story. And so I'm starting to write the next book, which is going to be my abusive marriage and the cancer and the burnout. And that's going to be a little bit harder for me to write because there's there's people in it that will be affected by that story, whereas my childhood, nobody's really affected by it. So that one I've got to tread a little bit lighter. But what's been beautiful about this book is that, first of all, for somebody that wanted to be invisible, who never told anybody about my dyslexia as an adult, nobody knew about it, for me to publish a book and have my friends and my coworkers read about my story, knowing that none of them knew about my story, was incredibly scary and vulnerable.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that have reached out and said, wow, I saw myself as Emily, or I was that child. And they share these stories with me. So it gives them permission to be vulnerable back with me. And so it's been really, really healing for me because I'm able to let it go and know that that happened all for a reason. And it was meant to be a message for somebody else out there.
Yeah, so true. It's really amazing. I think it's I actually admire the courage that you're able to kind of put everything in place and actually make a book out of it because it's very lovely being that people are going to see themselves in it, in those storyline, and being able to see what they could do different to actually become stronger and have the courage to do better too. And that was really amazing. Yeah. So you actually work with our high performers who are exhausted but afraid to stop. What is the biggest misconception they have about resilience?
So, what's interesting is so working with high performers, realtors, business owners, the common theme is a lot of burnout. They're just, they continually are doing and doing, and they keep putting more stuff on their plate. And they believe that they can, by taking a vacation or taking a day off or going and getting a massage, that it's just going to cure burnout. And what I work with them to do is to shift the belief that they have. And often that belief is that I have to work harder, I have to do more, I have to be more, to be worthy and to be enough. And that's where the work is for high performers, is untangling that belief that they've created, because beliefs are automatic, part of us, and they've been part of us from the time we were born. And so we do things and it's just automatic. And so what happens is when we try to take time off for a vacation or take a day off, it's a break and we feel like we're rested, but our body will automatically go back to the autopilot of that working just constantly. And so
Yeah.
it's this very dangerous place to be in, and that's why heart disease and cancer and all of these illnesses that people face, a lot of it has to do with the beliefs that we've created for how we should show up, and that's always showing up doing more and being more than we really need to be. And so it's been a really interesting journey to watch people when they finally come to that realization and they're able to start to change and unwind those beliefs that they've created.
That was really amazing. And Love what you're doing. And yeah, thank you for everything you do. So through your coaching and your podcast, you actually create more like a space for honest conversation. Why do you think being seen and heard is so deeply connected to healing?
Why is it so important for healing? Being seen
Yeah,
and heard? Gosh, how can I explain it? Why is it so important? Because we all have a message to share. And so the work that I've been doing over this past year and a half is all about embodiment and what I have learned. And this is something that was such an aha for me, is that we all live in what we call our head bubble. And so if you think about where we're living, we're all living up here. And when we live up here, we're performing, we're checking boxes, we're judging other people and we're judging ourselves. We're that critic, that inner voice that's, chattering all the time about, oh, you're not good enough. You shouldn't do that. And when we're living up here, we're continually draining energy. And so that's why most of us feel exhausted and not fully present when we're with people. And so this practice that I work with people now is getting them out of their head and down into what you can call Dantian or your hara, your home, your energetic center. We all have, scientists prove it, we all have an energetic center, and it's down below our navel and kind of in the center of our pelvis. And when we are in that space, it allows us to protect our energy and allows us to show up completely, fully, authentically. And when we can show up like that, we're allowed to be who we are truly meant to be in every relationship or interaction with people. And in doing that, we become magnetic and we attract people to us. It's why there's some people, and you've probably met these people, that you start to talk with them and you almost lean in. You're like, oh my gosh, I would follow this person off of a cliff if they told me I should. And then you've got those other people that you kind of just can't really connect with. Those are the people that are up here, that are living in their head bubble. And those other people that you're drawn to, that you have this instant connection with, those are the people that are living from their home in their body. And that is how we become seen. When we can walk into a room fully present and home in our body, in our Dante and our Hara, we're containing our energy and we're drawing people to us. And it is such a beautiful place because it protects our energy. I can show up in any situation feeling calm and safe and being able to fully be myself, not performing, just showing up as who I am, messy and whatever else.
yeah.
And I don't care if anybody doesn't like me because this is who I am. And that's what it means to be visible. And that's how people become visible. And that's why it's so important. Protects
Wow.
your energy and it connects you with people fully, truly, and allows you to be totally present in the moment, which is just a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I think it just speaks volumes to one just being himself, being that one is vulnerable, one doesn't try to hide anything, into yeah, just be you. More like some things might not go right, but the fact that people just know that, yeah, I know something about this person, but the person does not actually care, being that they accept it wholly and he love who he is, and now he can actually live out from that particular love for himself. And I think that's really lovely. So for someone listening right now who feel unseen, burnout, or shaken by unexpected news, what is your gentle first step they can take today?
One step they can take today is one, tuning into your body. We don't listen to our body. And to get to that space where you're totally aware of your body, tuning into it on a consistent basis is important. And so tuning in is simply grounding your feet, closing your eyes, and just kind of going from one part of your body to the other, just noticing. It's not about judging or trying to fix. It truly is just about tuning into, how am I feeling right now? Where are things flowing? Where do I feel tight or constricted or stressed? And so just having that body awareness. And then that second is getting into that space where you can drop down into your energetic center. And all that is that closing of your eyes and visualizing yourself in your home, in your dantian. And I always put my hand on right below my belly button. I just put my hand on my core and I drop down there and I just imagine myself there. And for me, I envision a ball of light floating in my dantian and I'm down below it, lying in a field of clovers, just peaceful. And if I put myself in that space, whatever I'm doing, I do this before I go into meetings, before I coach somebody, before I speak. When I do that, it just has this calming peace that you have, and you're able to just protect your energy and fully show up present. So for people that are wanting that, those are the two things to start with. It's a practice. It's one of those things like learning how to tie your shoe. You can't do it one
Yeah.
time and you're done. I have been doing this for a year and a half and I'm constantly doing it. I'm doing a session tomorrow. I'm doing an in-person session on Thursday, and this is the work I'm doing. And it's all professional entrepreneurs that are going to be in these classes. And it is so powerful when you do it. And what's magical about it is when you witness how people respond to you, when you're showing up and you see how people respond to you and you can feel them being drawn to you. It's such a powerful, wonderful, wonderful thing to experience.
Yeah. Amazing. And thank you so much, Pamela. Yeah, it's a pleasure having you on the show. And thank you for sharing your stories. And thank you for all you do too. So, for my audience who wants to connect with you, who wants to reach out to you, where is the best platform to do this?
The best is just my website, Pamela at PamelaCass.com. You can send me a message. My phone number's on there. You can book a free coaching call. You can find out about upcoming events. You can purchase the book. And then I'm on all the social platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. So you can find me pretty much anywhere.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Pamela. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing your stories, and thank you for all you do. Thank you for being a source of strength for so many persons who see themselves in those stories and who see that they could get better, they could get healing, and they could actually more like do better things out there, owing to the fact that, yeah, you have walked away and they could actually see the blueprint through your lens. So if today our conversation resonates with you from our audience, yeah, you can connect with Pamela and explore her work and get a copy of The Quiet Gift by visiting pamelaclass.com. Once again, a pleasure having you on the show. And thank you for
Thank you
sharing your
so
story.